The slave revolt has ended. After tense negotiations with the resistance group Reichsbanner Schwarzrock Gold and its partisan allies, a triumphant Albert Speer announced today in the Volkshalle the reaching out of an agreement with the rebellious slaves. In turn for the immediate abolishment of the slavery and the Nuremberg laws, regrettably rash demands according to the Führer, the rebels are to stand down and return to civility, met with a mixed reactions from the NSDAP, which criticized that the Führer would even negotiate. The agreements would nonetheless have found a significant approval in the public, the sovereign, and internationally. The Gang of Four, known as the leading forces behind the reforms in Germany, was missing at the Führer's side during the announcement. Reichsbanner leader Willy Brandt has reportedly fled to the US. It seems that the Führer is back in the limelight. Changing of the guard. It's over then. Gideon's expression was inscrutable behind his sunglasses. I suppose you'll be taking my place after I resign? Wessel nodded. Who else? You made certain that nobody in your bureau could be trusted to take the job. You're lucky you won't be shot. Once I am done with your Reich's intelligence agency, it will be extremely hard to tell you ever existed at all. Reinhard gave her a sad smile, as it should be, I suppose. Many of my decisions were mistakes. I know, though I'm sure you disagree which ones, but the one thing I am sure was not a mistake was you. Goodbye, Gerhard. Goodbye, Reinhard. And he finally walked away. We have a new president for the Reichsintelligence Agency, which is Gerhard Wessel. We have done our social tension tree and our economic tree. Now we can do the dream come true. Speer has done the inevitable and won the power struggle against the renegade and traitorous elements inside his government. The Reich's fate shall be one carved out of Speer's and Hitler's dreams. Now, to fully restore control over Germany, Speer needs to restore party unity and enforce government unity. The unity of the NSDAP shall be restored despite attempts to destroy it. The rebellious gang shall be reined in. Microphones were such useful things. As the elderly man carefully adjusted it so that it wouldn't shower his fellow members of the Reich with noise, he felt a smile creep up upon his face. Everything had gotten so much easier ever since Speer managed to make his moves. The almost endless stress was beginning to fade, and for once, the speech he would give was not doused in boundless irritation and anger. Instead, it would be a pleasant one. My people, who have managed to show the world their power, their industrial prowess, their technological ingenuity, their architectural genius. My people. Our people. Speer took a deep breath. It was good to be back. The sons and daughters of the greater German Reich. We soar again. With those two focuses done, we can now do Gleichschalten forevermore. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. Ooh, nice. Better army professionalism. Excellent. We got Spartan discipline now. As to Prometheus aflame. Henning von Treschow eyes the content of the letters carefully. He would no longer be the only general field marshal in the Reich for the sake of stability and diversifying the strengths of National Socialism. Vague nothingness like that. He felt the slightest bit of irritation, but what could he do? Ludwig Erhard groaned when he read the letter that arrived at his table. Now he was the co-minister of economics and labor. What nonsense was this? Did Speer think so little of his efforts to brighten the future of Germany's economy and succeeding heartily at that, only to be forced to share space with what was likely some faceless bureaucrat? He would have marched into Speer's office and then thereupon receiving the news, but his friends within the Reich dwindled, and he knew what Speer was doing, and Speer knew what he was doing. Helmut Schmidt felt his teeth grind together when he was approached by a messenger. His position as Minister of Foreign Affairs would now have to be effectively separated in two, listening and consulting with another minister who would effectively serve as an equal co-partner. When he heard the name, Schmidt knew nothing of whoever this person was, and then that's when it hit him. With one simple move, Schmidt's power within the cabinet was cut in half. Not only that, but the doors had closed around him. There was nowhere to turn to, nowhere to discuss and raise protests with. Dark clouds over the Gang of Four. Now, what's interesting is that Kissinger wasn't mentioned. The PRC has just united Russia. Troubling, but so be it. Not good, The Gang of Four has officially been replaced by Gleichschaltung Reinforced. The future of the Reich shall be led by Speer and the NSDAP. Now we have 3 more focuses before we start to end our focus trees. Ein Volk, the German people shall be reshaped in the image of National Socialism. Ein Reich, the Reich's fate is one of National Socialism. Ein Führer, the Reich shall last 1,000 years under the benevolent guidance of Führer Speer. Franco proposes a non-aggression pact. Sure, why not? We are now technically done with the Dengist Speer tree, but we still have these focuses to do. But we're still going to continue, so a new era has begun. End of a new beginning. Speer, with his personal funds and over the course of the decade, had asked, petitioned, and convinced the body of Hitler to be moved to Linz. His love of the city was strong, and in turn, so was Speer. Not only that, however, his body did not deserve to be in a mere grave to rot. Instead, Speer had built a mausoleum for his predecessor, and he had meticulously planned every inch of it. As he stood in front of the tomb that housed his paternal figure, he smiled. Everything about it was right. All the details, the vaguely religious yet still National Socialist elements that covered in the inside. Perhaps, in a way, this was his greatest work yet, barring Germania, of course. Everything Albert Speer had learned from his father was now passed on to him, yet reshaped, molded to serve the rapidly changing future. Would he have understood it? Speer wouldn't know, but would have respected him. For now, there was no need to play nice with the enemies of the Reich. Power was his, and no others. He was the NSDAP, and the NSDAP was his. A short tingling pride was felt in him, a sensation that he was as treacherous as it would have been to say, an even better leader than he who had guided him all those years. As Speer stood up, having finally paid his dues, his mind was steeled and his goal was simple. The only path forward, the only solution was one. Es ist Zeit. Germany can certainly learn from an example in the West and a hint in the East. Our new order cannot shift and ebb and be so fluid as it was before. If it is to become the rock that will bear the coming storm, Germany cannot be overchanging. It must steady itself, it must not rock the boat, and it must find its way forward. There is no more time to bicker between the debate of the many sides in our country. A way is put, the path is clear, and we only need to go down it. Germany's fate is one of National Socialism. A further decrease in poverty. Nice, fall of prosperity. It seems like Pan-Asianism wasn't the most well thought out idea. We are trying to form a new United Nations known as the Coalition der Nation, which is, just the UN basically. So we need to prime the ambassadors and collect the proposals. From sea to shining sea, the Einheitspact, the Organization of Free Nations, the Co-Prosperity Sphere. All power blocks built to only sustain themselves, out from the ashes of the Second World War. They existed only to expand their influence and combat their enemies, as peace was hardly seen as their viable alternative in the years following Germany's glorious triumph. The oil crisis has struck the world as a knife to an exposed flesh. It has exploited the weakness found in all of the blocs that encompass the world, every superpower attempting to take it on by themselves, only to find out that such a course of action is not only inefficient but actively detrimental. Along with it, the revolt of the slaves has shown Germany that it cannot stand alone. We have made token efforts to appease the other two superpowers too, but it is finally time for the Reich to stand together in full earnest with the rest. The Einheitspact cannot be solely Germany and its puppets. It can be more. For the good of the world, it must be. To the development of something new. Oh, wait a second. What? Iberia joins the Zollverein? Iberians' entry into the Zollverein was hailed as a significant diplomatic victory for Germania. Another triumph for the Reich, but it's unfortunate they didn't join the Einheitspact. But, we could use a member in the Zollverein. But we still can't overtake the US in GDP, even with everyone here. That is just sad. Now we can finally do the Coalition der Nationen. We will send out word of our ideas to the other superpowers of the world. Silver Pants writing away below. The Fuhrer did not bend, or did he? When word came, the Americans and Japanese have shown interest. More specifically, it was as if dim light sparked with life once more in his mind. He was never truly a fan of war. It was a costly affair, a glorious one you could say, but look where it led the Reich to. Men like Bormann, men like Göring, men like Heydrich. Speer shuddered. What visceral carnage they would have wrought upon the Reich. They were long gone now, however, only phantoms, and the Gang of Four out of his way, and the NSDAP following his will and voice, he would make the finishing touches to his precious Reich. The KDN in Speer's mind would not only certify Germany's dominion over Europe, it would seat them as the leader of the world. The greatest house that Albert Speer would begin crafting started now. Deutschland über alles. It seems that some things never die, as the NSDAP under Speer was shaken but appears to be on its path to recovery. The Gang of Four, however, is being put under the heel by the Führer. Whatever the future may grant, it will be a struggle, but should the right people prevail, it will be one of National Socialism. That's the end of the Dengist Speer series. It was certainly one of the best playthroughs story-wise, and I believe I'm not the only one who agrees with that statement, but the Gang of Four path is up there as well. Congrats to the dev team, your writing is truly impressive, but that's enough from me. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, consider liking the video and subscribing to me. It doesn't take more than 5 seconds and it would help me grow. Anyways, have an awesome day everyone.